Good afternoon, Rotarians, friends, and guests. My name is Becky Fields, and I am the president of one of the greatest Rotary clubs in the world, the Rotary Club of Tulsa. And in fact, we are one of the largest Rotary clubs in the world. So you are amongst a great group. And today, let's begin our program with an invocation from Tiffany Egdorf, song and pledge from past president Matt Davis, visitor introductions from Carl Vincent, and new member introduction from Kaiden Creekpalm.
Let us pray. Loving God, may we as individuals and as society find healing from the trauma and chaos of our world. Show us how to rise from the ashes. Show us how to bloom in the midst of the storm. Give us your grace to find rebirth within ourselves and give us the courage to create new life in the world. May your blessings be upon us and your peace surround us today and always. Amen.
Please join me in God Bless America. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Rotary Club of Tulsa. We're so proud that you have invested your time at lunch with us today. I'm going to introduce our visitors and our host Rotarians who will stand briefly and then be reseated after we've introduced all of them. If you'd join me in a round of applause for them, and then any visiting Rotarians will be recognized. Happy to report that famed microbiologist and past president Mike Homan has certified that all of our guests and host Rotarians are coronavirus free today. Mary Beth Sawyer is here today with Rotaract. Jerry Barrientos brought her friend Richard Wagner as a guest today. Cara Gay Neal brought Lindsay McCool. Gina Shackelford is a guest of Rotaract also today. Elaine Dishman brought Taylor Bates from Regent Bank. Michael Hairston brought Matt Matheson from the Trust Company of Oklahoma. Tom Perrault brought Bob Karlovich with him today. Thank you for joining us. My friend Andrea Nielsen brought a parolee named Gary Bartlett with her today. Glad to have you, Gary. Ann Yoshi brought Kayla Clark from Hearts for Hearing. Jim Campos brought Anthony Jaramillo with him today. Mike Homan brought Rhonda Dudek. Chuck Wilson brought Don Quint with him today. Chuck, thank you. Dan Simone brought Eric Biggers. Thank you for joining us. Becky Fields, President Becky, brought Oz Patton with her as a guest. Thank you for joining us. Del Dreyer brought Shay Rogendorf. Barney James brought Rusty Peterson with him. Dave Dietz with Grand Bank is a guest today. Thank you for coming. Joe Moore brought Kent Powers. Michael Burks has a guest, Doug Mann. And Graydon Yohe brought Michael Whalen. Thank you all for joining us.
I also brought with me today the famous Nowlin brothers. Would you please stand?
Thank you all for coming.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kaiden Creekpalm, and I have the honor of presenting our newest member. So, Debbie Thompson, would you please stand at your table along with your sponsor, Paul Baumann, as we present you and welcome you to the club. Debbie is married to Joe Thompson, and she is the mother of 2 sons, Jacob, who's married to Holly with daughters Bella and Hope, and Jared, who's married to Sierra with son Camden and daughter Blair. Debbie and Joe love spending time with their kids and their grandkids. Debbie has served on church staffs for 33 years as minister to children, the last 25 of which here in Tulsa at First Baptist Church of Tulsa. Debbie served on the Sand Springs School Board for 12 years and was a member of the Sand Springs Rotary Club and the Salvation Army Women's Auxiliary. She was also on the board of directors for Oklahoma Baptist and Tulakogi Campgrounds. Hope I said that right. Debbie goes with her church on annual missions trips to organize Vacation Bible School for the children of missionaries while their parents are at their annual meetings. They've done this in Western European countries the last few years. And Joe and Debbie also love to travel in the United States. Debbie is already a Paul Harris Fellow and continued to contribute even when she was not an active Rotarian because she believes in Rotary and all that Rotarians do to make the world a better place. Little known fact, Debbie had perfect attendance in her entire 4th, 5th, and 6th grade years as a child. This drive and passion to be present every day has carried through to her professional career because she has only taken 1 absence from work in 33 years, get this, for a surgery. So, you know, pretty impressive. Please stand with me and welcome Debbie Thompson to the Rotary Club of Tulsa.
Welcome to the club, Debbie. We are very excited to see you, and it sounds like we'll be seeing a lot of you, so that's great. I wanted to give you a quick update and just announcement for those of you that might not have known. Our incoming president, David Wagner, suffered a fall in his home about a week and a half ago now. I didn't announce it last week because we were still just finding out some details, but I've been in close contact with his wife, Rachel, and he is doing very well. He's recovering well. He's at St. Francis. They're still kind of asking for no visitors just because he is on the road to recovery, but basically he had a fall and fractured his skull and had a brain contusion. So he's working closely with his therapist and making great recovery. We're working with his leadership team for next year as they prepare for their year, but everything's going according to plan. But I just wanted to give you that update and make sure that you keep he and Rachel and their family in your thoughts and prayers.
I just want to say there's a Facebook page set up for David.
Yes, there is. Thank you. Yes, it's Prayers for David Wagner, if you haven't seen that. Thank you very much. Also, thank you to this week's meeting sponsor, Kevin Moody from Moody's Jewelry, John O'Connor, Tom Klenda, and Daniel Ketchum from Hall Estel, Harvey Rowe from Ameritrust, and Bill and John Rothrock from Yale Cleaners. Thank you, sponsors. I also wanted to thank Sherry Fine, owner of Fine Parking. As you all know, Mike Fine, one of our beloved members who passed away recently, she and her husband have owned the wonderful Fine Parking for years. And he was well known not only for his positive and giving attitude, but also for the roses that he loved to give out. And so she brought roses to myself and to our speaker today. So thank you so much, Sherry, for thinking of us. We have one committee meeting upstairs after the program today, and that is for Camp Enterprise. It's coming up very quickly in April, so there's a lot to do. I'm sure they are ramping up even more than they have been. So that's in room 233. And in upcoming programs, next week will be another exciting speaker, C.J. Box, the #1 New York Times bestselling author of 27 novels, including the Joe Pickett series, will be our speaker. If you plan to bring a guest, because this is such a popular speaker that we have, will you please fill out the RSVP list on your table? Just give us a head count so we can make sure and prepare food and everything. And then also, Tina has supplied for you on your tables our Rotary one-pager that our marketing and communications team made this year. And so if you are inviting a guest and they've never been to Rotary and they don't know about our club, you're welcome to take any of those pamphlets off of or one-pagers off of your table. That would give them a good idea of what they're coming to next week. And then on March 11th, we have our very popular Above and Beyond Awards, and you will not want to miss that. All right, Tana Scott, you are up with side mic with the Sarge and Winnie. Hi, Winnie.
I actually brought Winnie she is an emotional support dog for Ed Monet today, if you want to come up here for a second, Ed. Do you want to hold the puppy before, just so you can calm your nerves a bit? No. Okay, well, are you sure? Okay. Well, Bob Sade has donated $100 under one condition. Mm-hmm.
What's that?
It's that you wear this tie. Like right now.
It's not a clip-on.
Tie it to your head. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
What a good sport.
Before we get started, we are going to do a t-shirt giveaway. So we've drawn 3 winners, badge numbers. So if you hear your badge number called, there's 3 t-shirts up here for the winners. You can also purchase t-shirts outside. And if these aren't the right size, I would guess that you could exchange them. But the winners are number 128. Anybody? No? Okay.
I'd have to look at mine.
372. Does anybody know their badge number? And 249. Didn't think it was going to be a pop quiz. Okay, well, that was fun. We'll just try again next week. I think we thought that was going to go better. Did you win? Oh, yeah, there's 3. You won! Yay! Okay, well, you can grab one right there. Oh, my goodness. All right, well, moving on. Upcoming
Apparently,
news.
none of us know our badge numbers. I forever thought mine was a certain number, and I kept putting it in the same slot. And every single time someone else's would be in it, I think it was Brenda's or something, I'm like, Brenda, get it right. And I'd move hers and then put mine in. And after doing this for weeks on end, I finally just happened to see the back of mine. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm in the wrong spot. Sorry, Brenda. So, Brenda, if you think you're going crazy, you're not.
Look at your badge number. All right, so I don't know, for those of you that follow me on Instagram or Facebook, I went skiing this past weekend.
You looked really cool, too.
So fun.
Why didn't you wear your outfit today?
So fun. I should have done that just for the, Anyways, I'll do it another time on a cold day. So I ski a lot. I love to ski. I feel like I'm in relatively good shape. Has anybody walked around in ski boots? Okay, I don't know if I just haven't climbed a flight of stairs in ski boots, but I did about 33 runs, which was probably my top run of the day. Felt really good, came back to the condo, and if you follow me on Facebook, you'll see a picture of me and my girlfriend, which she laid down next to me because I was about to throw up in my face mask. But I didn't know that my husband took this picture, and this was after simply climbing one flight of stairs after ski. I could ski all day, and then I said, if I ever go on a ski trip again and you put me in a condo with stairs, I want a divorce. It's over. It made me feel out of shape. I don't know how I'm going to ride the Tulsa Tough after this. So everybody wish me luck. I got a lot of training to do. It is fine time. Rob Berry, are you here? Hi, Rob. Thank you so much. He is donating $100, and he is donating it for the Above and Beyond Awards, Sarge's Challenge. Since he is chairing the committee, he cannot show favoritism as they have all done excellent work. Wow. So take it up with Rob. Do we want a boxing match up here? Next is Paul Bauman. Where are you, Paul? I know you're here. Thank you so much. He has donated $100 celebrating the Chiefs' first Super Bowl win in 50 years. That was incredible. Thank you so much, Paul. Tom Wolf, are you here today? Hi, Tom. Thank you. This was the one I had to skip over really quick last week, but this is for his birthday on 2/9, his Rotary anniversary on 1/12, and his 24th wedding anniversary this month. $200 from Tom Wolf. Thank you so much. Just for fun, this is his family vacation last year in Athens, and even more fun, this is the malfunction of his birthday cake on the previous Sunday 2 weeks ago. Hope it was a good cake. Thank you. Oh, my goodness. Thank you guys so much. If you have any donations, this is totally coincidental that ski beard matched the fur on my hood. And so anyways, we had to do that. Thank you, Mike. Thank you. Call me, text me, or email me if you have a donation. Thank you so much.
I would like to invite Barbara Kogerman to the side mic as well for another announcement about Business Visitation Day.
First of all, I lost a contact lens this morning. I can hardly see, so forgive me if I stumble over any words. This is regarding Business Visitation Day, which is coming up April 1st. And we have amazing Rotarians who have stepped up to host you, for you to come and learn more about their business, see what they're doing, what's new, trends in industry, or whatever. And so they are the following. Fine Airport Parking, thank you so much. We have Bank First, Crossland Construction, Montereau Resort Style Living, it's no longer called Retirement Community, Premier Solution Partners, Tulsa Drillers Baseball Club, the Heart of Route 66 Auto Museum, Jackie Cooper Imports, Hogan Assessments, Tulsa Opera, We Be Trees, and Stokely Event Center, and Michael Willis, Tulsa County Clerk. It's going to be a lot more interesting than you might think. So on Monday, be sure to read your Monday message, because there will be a link there for you to go to the website. It's not that hard, really. It'll only take a few seconds or minutes to select someone. We'll be having more information as we go on, but the enrollment or the registration for you as a Rotarian to visit another Rotarian's business, it's a wonderful opportunity for all of us. That will begin on Monday with a link on your Monday message. So be sure to take advantage of this opportunity. It's not a day off from Rotary. We'll go there instead on April 1st. And we really need to support our other Rotarians with this. And thank you so much.
Well, at this time, I was supposed to introduce John Holcomb to introduce our special guest today, but he had an emergency really quickly. So our Rotarian of the Day, who is gracious enough to stand in, is Chuck Wilson.
Thank you. Well, I'm the appropriate person to introduce Coach because I just met him 15 minutes ago. So, most of you know Coach. He played golf at Oklahoma State University under the great Labron Harris. For those of you who are golfers, you'll remember that name. And then from 1970, then after that, he became coach of from 1976 to 2000. There were 8 NCAA championships during that time. Then he became athletic director in 2005. For anyone who has been anywhere around Stillwater or around Oklahoma State University, you know what has happened to that school during the time that he's been athletic director. It's been amazing growth, not just in the buildings, the facilities, and the athletics, but also on the academic side of the equation. So please join me in a warm welcome to Coach Holder.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I apologize a little bit. I don't have the coronavirus, I don't think. but it's that time of year, so I've got a little bug, and it's affected my voice. I don't really feel that bad, but it's a little gravelly, so I apologize for that. And, you know, I was hearing the speaker next week. I need to come back over here. Somebody wrote 27 novels, C.J. Bach. Gosh, I don't think I've read 27 novels. If I have, I don't remember them. It's a pleasure to be here. I found out today, and I probably knew this before, but 115 years the Rotary's been around in Tulsa. It's a long time. It's about as long as we've wrestled at Oklahoma State. And if Rotary's as big to Tulsa as wrestling is at Oklahoma State, you guys play a big role. So congratulations. I've spoken here before. I can't remember the exact year, but I remember I see Will Smith out here, and I know his dad, Sherman, was around then. So I can't remember how many years he's been gone, but I sure miss him every day. And to just show you how important it is to collaborate with people and have good friends and be in an organization like this. In 1973, I got the job as golf coach at Oklahoma State, and I was fresh out of graduate school. I didn't have a clue what I was going to do, how I was going to do it, and a friend that I had met while I was on the golf team there, his name was Jerry Walsh. He was from Borger, Texas. Actually, he grew up in Stillwater and went to Oklahoma State, but he was making a living in Borger, Texas. He was in the mud business. And I had met him because he took lessons just about every time he came back to Stillwater to see his sister. He took a lesson from Labron Harris, my coach. And Jerry was a real personable guy, knew everybody, remembered everybody's name. And he took a liking to me for some reason, so he came by to visit me in my office as a newly minted golf coach and said, can I help you? I said, I need lots of help. And one thing we need some help with, we had a budget that time of $27,000. That was scholarships, recruiting, my salary, you name it, $27,000. And even back then in 1973, $27,000 didn't go very far. So I figured out that we needed to try to do something to supplement that budget because Oklahoma State couldn't afford to have the golf program at least I had in the back of my mind. And so I told Mr. Walsh, yeah, I'm going to have a pro-am this fall, and we're going to try to raise some money. Would you come play in it and be a sponsor? And he said, sure, and I'll bring a couple of my friends with me. So he showed up, and I think it was September of 1973. And the two friends he brought with him were Sherman Smith, who was a drilling contractor. And as I said, Jerry was in the mud business. And the other guy that showed up was Boone Pickens. Pays to have good friends. And to talk about the things that it takes to be great at anything, you know, all the qualities that we admire, and unfortunately there's so little of, and it seems or appears in this world we live in today, but loyalty, honesty, hard work, integrity, all those things, those guys had it in spades. And to show how loyal they were, and you know, busy in the mud business, busy in the drilling business, busy running an oil company, building what came to be the biggest, largest independent oil and gas company in North America, Boone Pickens. They never missed a pro-am. So from 1973 to 1995, they played in that pro-am every year. The only reason the streak stopped for Jerry Walsh in 95 was he passed away. He and his wife were killed in a car wreck. And then after 2000, I can't remember the exact year, Sherman Smith passed away, and then this last year, Boone Pickens passed away, and that's the only reason that he'll miss any pro-ams in the future. But they'll all be there in spirit from now on. So that's how you change the world, because the world as we know it at Oklahoma State changed because of those three gentlemen. They transformed our athletic program, and indirectly or directly, they transformed our whole university. If you doubt their impact, the significance of what they've done, all you have to do is go by just about any nook and cranny on our campus today, and if it's been a few years since you've been there, you won't recognize it. From the McKnight Performing Arts Center on the south side to everything that's happened to athletics over on the north side to what's about to happen in the College of Agriculture with the latest gift from Larry Ferguson, $50 million he gave to the College of Ag to rename it. you know, it's contagious. It's what those three gentlemen did changed philanthropy and what we hoped and dreamed about as an institution forever. So I could never thank them enough, and as I said, it's great to see Will here today. What I'd like to talk a little bit about is what's going on and then what our plans are for the future. You know, we've got a proud history. We won 52 national championships. There's only three other schools, maybe four now. I think Penn State is moved up in class, so we're either fourth or fifth in the nation in national championships won. And that's just male championships. We've never won a female national championship. We're going to do something about that, hopefully sooner rather than later. But we've got a proud history, and we're really proud of the fact that we're not just a one-trick pony. We've won those national championships in a lot of sports. From wrestling, we've got 34 in that sport. I think we've got 11 in golf. We've got 5 or 6 in cross country. We've won a baseball national championship. We won back-to-back in basketball, although it was a long time ago. So we've taken a lot of pride in the fact that we're good across the board. And one of the things that I set about trying to do when I became athletic director in 2005 was to try to give every single coach, every athlete a chance to be the very best in the whole world at what they chose to do. And make no mistake about it, we're in the business of educating the youth of America and the world, trying to teach those young people how to go out and change the world for the better. And I like to think at athletics we take that a little bit further, and we teach a lot about leadership along with that great education you're going to get. And athletics is a great place to do that because not only are you getting some of the best and the brightest from around the world, male or female, but you're also getting someone that's usually very, very dedicated, knows the value of hard work, loyalty, commitment, sacrifice, teamwork, unselfishness, all those qualities. And as I said, we need more of that every corner of the universe, so we hope to be making a difference in our athletic program. So if you have that as an overarching goal, then it's important to be good at every one of those sports, even better to be great, and it's important that you give everyone, every coach, every athlete a chance to be the best in the whole world. So a big part of that is what kind of facility you have. We were woeful in football for decades, and our football stadium spoke to that level of commitment that we had to football. Boone Pickens said every time he'd come to campus, he'd drive 2 blocks out of the way not to have to see that rusted out old football stadium. It was, I think, referred to lovingly, kind of in a backhanded sort of way, as Rust-Oleum Stadium, well-deserved. Not only could we not afford a new stadium, we couldn't afford to paint the one we had. And Boone Pickens changed that beginning in about 2002 with that first gift of $20 million. Then he followed that up with $165 million. And the reason it was important to have a first-class football stadium is that speaks to your commitment to that particular sport. And so when a youngster would come on campus to be recruited for football and he saw our football facility, that made a statement. Football's not very important in Stillwater, Oklahoma. So Boone Pickens changed that for us in football. And as athletic director, we already had Gallagher-Iba Arena, which is a real show place, but we didn't have that for track or tennis or baseball or a lot of other sports. So my dream or my goal was to try to provide that same opportunity that golf had, that wrestling had, that basketball had, that football now had for all the other sports. And that became the Athletic Village. We've done a pretty good job of finishing that out. We've got a brand new soccer stadium, thanks to the generosity of Neil Patterson, who unfortunately passed away a few years ago. And then we've got a new tennis facility, thanks to the generosity of Michael and Ann Greenwood. We've got a state-of-the-art indoor practice facility for all of our sports, thanks to the generosity of Sherman Smith. It's called the Sherman Smith Training Center. And we're about to open a brand new baseball stadium. We're going to dedicate that March 20th, and that's thanks to the generosity of Cecil Obrate, who was Ironically, at school at OSU about the same time as Boone Pickens. He had to quit after 2 years. He had to go out and try to make a living, so he leased some farmland up in Garden City, Kansas, and other than that leased farmland, he didn't have 2 nickels to rub together, and voila, however many years later, he gave us $35 million for this baseball stadium. So tall trees from tiny acorns grow. We've still got a couple of things we need to do after that baseball stadium. We need to do something more for our track, so I want to build an indoor track facility. And then, even though we have a great place to compete in wrestling, we don't have the greatest training facility. And if you want to be the best in the whole world at something, which we should be and arguably have been in the sport of wrestling, then you need to have a facility that makes a statement about what kind of commitment you have for that, and it lets you attract the best and the brightest from all over the world to wrestle at Oklahoma State. And I can't tell you when that'll happen or who will make it happen, but there'll be someone that loves wrestling, that's been successful in their career, that'll step up and write a big check, and we'll put something out there befitting our wrestling team. Other than that, I'll be glad to answer any questions anybody might have out there. I'm sure you'd be better at structuring this program than I would. So if somebody's got a burning question about OSU athletics or athletics in general, what the future looks like in the mind of someone that's an elder statesman in college athletics, I'll give you my opinion. So I'll open it up to anyone that has any questions. Wow. You know, that's some pretty heavy stuff there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you my opinion, and my opinion's based on 4 of the greatest years of my life as a college athlete who showed up as a walk-on and earned a scholarship. If I could go back and spend those 4 years again with Labron Harris, my coach, and be a walk-on again, I wouldn't change a thing. It's the happiest I've ever been my whole life, and I've been blessed since then. I've got a wonderful wife. I've had a lot of great experiences, but there's nothing like being on a college team. There's just not. So I have that perspective, plus 32 years of coaching and now 15 years as an athletic director. I have very, very strong opinions about both of those. I'm in the minority. I think a lot of what we say and do these days is based on social media, media in general, popular opinion, and my opinion, being great at anything has nothing to do with being popular. Maybe in politics, maybe a little bit in business, but if you want to be great as an athlete, it's not a popularity contest. It's not a fun process in a lot of ways. There's a lot of sacrifice, hard work, sweat. You know, as a coach, to take an athlete from where he is or she is to where they think they want to go, most of them, even though they may be a great high school player or athlete, and they really think they have a pretty good idea of what that process looks like and how painful it might be, really most of them have no clue. So it's not about being popular as a coach. You've got to challenge your athletes. You've got to take them places that are no fun to be. You've got to try to figure out how to make that fun at the same time, which is virtually impossible. And then when they look back, it's probably going to be the most, like I said, in my case, the greatest time in their life. So I've got a perspective that is, I'm not for the transfer portal. I'm not for free agency, which is what they're talking about today, changing the transfer rule. Right now, in 5 sports, women's basketball, men's basketball, baseball, I can't even think of all the others, but there's 5 sports where if you transfer from one school to another, you have to take a year in residence. You take a pause in your athletic career for 1 year, and then you get to resume it. You don't lose any eligibility. You just have to take a year off. And when you think about the commitment that the youngster made when they decided where to go to school and all that that entails, and then after 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, they decide to divorce that school and move to another, there's nothing wrong with understanding the significance of the move you're about to make. And it's an opportunity to work on your schoolwork over time, maybe do something about your skill level in your sport. And as I said, maybe reflect on how critical it is to make a go of it this time because it didn't work out the last time. And I can't remember the year in golf and all the other sports that have the one-time transfer exception, which means one time in your career you can leave the school you're at, go to another, and be immediately eligible. When that was imposed upon us, me as a golf coach, I didn't like it. I never liked it any time that from that moment forward, I just had to live with it, endure it. I think it was bad for golf. I think it's bad for golfers. I think it's bad for teaching young men at that point in their life. It teaches all the wrong things instead of the right things, so I was against that. And I'm definitely against changing it so that it's that way across the board because football and basketball are 10 times as competitive as all these other sports. And people will do just about anything, unfortunately, to get ahead. So I see a lot of abuse that I'm afraid might happen because of that. So if there's going to be a change in the transfer rule, I'm for going back to where every athlete in every sports has to sit a year, and then they can resume their career. I don't want to take a year of eligibility away from them. If they've already redshirted a year and then they transfer, then theoretically, or right now, you lose a year of eligibility. I'm not for that, but I think that you should have to take a year off. Otherwise, you're going to see a lot more of what happened with Justin Fields this year, the quarterback at Ohio State, who left Georgia after his freshman year. He didn't win the starting job, so instead of fighting through that, he left, went to Ohio State, got a waiver from the NCAA, and had a chance to compete for the national championship this year. So I'm not in favor of that. I think it would have been better for Justin Fields to stay where he was. There's a lot to be learned from that, or take the year off once he gets to Ohio State. The media likes to talk about the ability for coaches to move around. Well, you're talking about a whole different time in your life rather than being part of the educational process. And there's certain things that kids need to learn at 18 to 22 years of age that if they don't learn then, they're probably never going to learn them. And this is part of that process. The other thing is paying college athletes. Absolutely not. Playing college athletics is a privilege. And it's a privilege to play. It's not a right. And you're blessed to be good enough to have the opportunity to participate on an athletic team while at the same time you're getting a great education at whatever institution you're at. There's never been a better time to be a college athlete. If you're in a full scholarship sport like football or basketball, you're more advantaged than ever before. I don't necessarily think that's all good, but you are. You get all your bills paid, all your tuition, everything. On top of that, you get a stipend, which amounts to, on average, about $5,000 a year, all this tax-free. And then if you're really of need, you get a Pell Grant from the government for about another $9,000. So you add that all up, if you're out-of-state student in Stillwater, Oklahoma, that's probably about $55,000 tax-free. And the average per capita income in Payne County is, I think, $28,000. The problem is all the money. And who would have thought I'd be saying this, but 15 years ago, I think we were better off. I think 1966, what is that, 54 years ago when I was a freshman, and especially when I was the golf coach with a budget of $27,000, I think in some ways we were better off. The money's caused the problem. It's a blessing and a curse at the same time. So what's happened, all the money's flowed into college athletics, and what we due for our athletes has gone up a little bit, but it's pretty static. A full ride's worth whatever it is. But then you take the coaches and what they're paid today relative to, I think my coach probably, Labron Harris probably made $5, $6, $7, $8, $10,000 in 1966. And then you look at what a football coach or a basketball coach makes today, this big difference between a full ride at $30,000 and a coach making 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 million. And it's this gulf between the athlete and the coaches and administrative salaries that's caused the problem, the national rhetoric, the discussion. It's caused all the tension. And right now, public discussion is about trying to narrow this gap by moving the athlete closer to the coach. You're never going to solve that problem. There's not enough money to do that. So what I'd like to see is start moving the other direction, cap salaries, shrink them back, get them to something realistic so that, because it was never meant to be on a college campus for someone, a coach especially, to become rich. You just weren't. And it causes tension between the academic side and the athletic side for the same reason I just talked about. So, as I said, I think in a lot of ways the money's been a problem. It's going to continue to be a problem. And if the closer we get to being like professional sports, the more we're going to be like professional sports. And that's not what business I want to work in. That's not what my calling was. That's not what I went to Oklahoma State University to do. I went there to get an education and play a little bit of golf and figure out how to make a living later on, and I think that's the way it should be today. So I'm not for paying the athletes. I think that's the worst thing that we could do. I think we'll have lost our way, and I'm not sure what this enterprise will look like in 20 years if that happens, but I don't think it'll be as good as it is today. That's a long answer. Someone else have a question? Yes, sir.
Conference realignment seems to be kind of a hot button, and for better or not, I think the Big 12 seems to take its unfair share of there's a conference that needs to be realigned. In your opinion, does the Big 12 look like it does today in 5 years?
My opinion again, no. But I don't think college athletics will look the same in 5 or 10 years either. I think realignment's inevitable. It's been a constant evolution over the course of time, and I think there'll be another crunch time or tipping point where you see some more conference realignment. I'm not sure exactly what that's going to look like, how it's going to happen. I'm just confident that it will happen, and my job as the athletic director is prepare for that day, and I prepare by having our teams as competitive as possible, having a fan base that's strong, vibrant, shows up at the games. We sell a lot of tickets. That has some marketability, some attraction to the other leagues. And whether the Big 12 grows or no longer exists, I just think something's going to happen down the road. Are we unhappy now? No. I think it's probably never been as stable as a league of 10. Never been more stable than it is today, but we were much better off when we were a league of 12 with the likes of A&M and Nebraska and Colorado and Missouri and Texas A&M. You just don't replace those. And that's one reason we haven't grown back to that magic number of 12. You know, it's kind of odd. It's the Big 12 and we're 10 teams, you know. Not any different than the Big 10 at 14 teams. That's kind of weird too. But you just don't replace flagship institutions like that. The real shame is that we lost them to begin with. So it should have never happened, but it did. But with 10 and who we are, I think we're doing great. I think we're really, Oklahoma is great in football. They've always been great in football. We need for them to stay there. We need Texas to step up and be the University of Texas, especially in the sport of football. That's good for all of the rest of the members of the league. And then the job of the rest of us, the other 8 members, is to step up and compete at the same level and make it hard for those teams to win in our conference. And that's what I talked about just a minute ago. That's my job right now, is to make sure we're good in all those sports, have facilities that are befitting national championship caliber programs, and have a fan base that supports all of us, and then maybe we'll be attractive if that realignment happens. Somebody shuffles the deck. Yes, sir.
So while
Well, I'm not going to confirm that President Bush is going to throw out the first pitch. Somebody's going to do it. Probably going to be Cecil Albright, but we got a lot of candidates. Board George Bush would be great. He probably threw out the most iconic first pitch ever in the history of any sport when he did that for baseball after 9/11. You know, so that's certainly, and we're a Republican state, so he's probably going to be pretty popular. But Garth Brooks would be a good candidate for that. You know, might get Garth Brooks. He might sing the anthem right before he throws out the first pitch. So. If that's popular that George Bush do that, let's hope that the Tulsa world's right for once. You know, it's coming up pretty quick. It's going to be at the BOK Center here in Tulsa. It's a really big deal to have that championship in the state of Oklahoma. And I'll give it up to the city of Tulsa and the BOK Center for putting a strong bid in to host the national championship in sometime between, I think it's 2022 and 2025. I may be a little off on my years. But as I said, wrestling's a big deal at Oklahoma State. It's a really big deal in the state of Oklahoma. And for the sport to grow and thrive, we need more championship events to be held in our state to inspire our youngsters to want to take up wrestling and give us a great pool of recruits to choose from. So I'm all for that, and I really, really appreciate the support shown by the city of Tulsa, whole community, and the BOK Center. That's a really big deal. Thank you. Another question? Yes, ma'am. Well, you're exactly right. You know, I think 2% of all the athletes end up pursuing that sport for a profession. I mean, it's a minuscule number. That's what we focus on. The media does, but it's minuscule. So everybody else needs to go out and make a living. So we do everything we can to try to prepare our athletes for life after college, life after their sport, from a great education to learning how to feed their body, how to train their body, we do everything we can for them as a way of tutoring services, try to get them to achieve at a high level and understand how important it is to show up at class every day on time and be a good employee, be loyal, all that stuff. So, yeah, that's why I say athletics is such a unique, special, blessed opportunity, because not every student, we've got 24,000 students on our campus, and only 400 of them get a mentor like a coach like John Smith in wrestling, for example. Get to go take a class from John Smith 20 hours a week and learn from a legend, you know. So that time as an athlete and the preparation you get and the lessons that you learn are such a wonderful opportunity. I wish that we could do it for every single student on our campus. We'd all be better served. Unfortunately, there's just not enough to go around. So I hope we do a good job of that. Nothing more important than that other than playing by the rules. When Boone Pickens gave the $165 million, he only asked for one thing in return. He said, you don't have to cheat to win, whether it's in business or athletics, so play by the rules. Otherwise, you're going to lose your best supporter, and that's not going to be a happy day. So he's with us forever now because he's in the ground, but I know that he's watching over, and he wants to make sure that we're setting the right kind of example and teaching our kids how important it is to play by the rules and do things the right way. Yes, sir.
Is there maybe a more obscure college sport that we're not paying attention to that we ought to be?
Oh, gosh, great question. Of course, golf. Golf, that's kind of the center of the universe, you know. At least it was for me for 32 years. No, you know, soccer, I think soccer's got a huge future. We don't have a men's program, but we've got a women's program. And one of the reasons I'm really proud of that new soccer stadium, it makes a statement about how important women's athletics is at OSU, because you take a sport where there's not any revenue and no hope of any revenue, and you spend $20 million on a facility that with really, if you're looking for monetary return on investment, you're not going to get it. It's going to be in those intangibles that I've talked about earlier. So soccer, I would point to soccer, and hopefully someday we'll be able to field a men's soccer team. It's all about the money. Even though we talked about there's too much of it, even though there's too much money, there's not enough to go around. It's just a college sports has an insatiable appetite for capital. There's just never enough. So we have a lot more than we used to. Our budget was $30 million when I started. It's 95 now. But we're competing against people like Texas with $220 million budget and Oklahoma University with 170, and right on down the list. It's just brutal how expensive it is, and I don't see it getting any cheaper. We got time for one more? One more.
Coach Holder, with the movement around Oklahoma and the Midwest regarding the sport of lacrosse, I'm interested in your comment if you ever see that becoming more of a club sport at OSU.
Well, lacrosse is a great sport, especially given that I think that was a sport that started with the Indians, the Indian culture. I know that maybe that they didn't invent it. In my mind, they did. So I got the microphone. That makes it a. Yeah. I'm for having every sport. Like I said, I'm a firm believer in the benefits of competition and teamwork and all the things that you can learn from it. So it's just a matter of being able to afford to grow as big as you want to be. I think Stanford has 36 sports team. We have 18, so they've got twice as many as us. That's a lot of sports that we could add, and I'd like nothing better than to do that. So anyway, thanks for your time today. I've about run over, and gosh, I hope I'm still around to come back and speak to you again sometime. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach Holder. You have made the day of many Rotarians here today, because I know there are big OSU supporters in the room. In fact, can we hear from you? You guys have been a little quiet. Where are our OSU fans? And there you have it. So, all right, what a great day. Rotarians, you are making a difference in the world. You are agents of change. Now go, change the world.